For centuries, Jane Boleyn's name has been synonymous with betrayal and treachery. Her reputation largely stems from her alleged involvement in the downfalls of her husband, George, and her sister-in-law, Anne. The most persistent accusation is that Jane provided damning evidence against her husband and Anne, leading to their executions on charges of adultery, incest, and treason. This portrayal of Jane as a conniving, vindictive woman has persisted in both pop culture and historical accounts. In recent years, though, historians have begun to challenge the traditional narrative surrounding Jane. Julia Fox wrote her biography, Jane Boleyn, The True Story of the Infamous Lady Rochford, in 2007, and she argued that much of the traditional narrative has been constructed on hearsay and conjecture. She scrutinized the primary sources and reevaluated Jane's role in the events leading to the Boleyns' downfall. She posits that Jane was not the architect of their doom, but rather a woman caught up in the dangerous politics of the Tudor court. Similarly, Adrienne Dillard's work, The Raven's Widow, a novel of Jane Boleyn, from 2017, offered a fictionalized account of Jane's life that, while not strictly historical, is grounded in her rigorous research. She aimed to provide a more sympathetic portrayal of Jane, allowing readers to gain a deeper understanding of her motivations and complex world in which she lived. One of the aspects of Jane's story that both Fox and Dillard focus on is her marriage to George Boleyn. While traditionally portrayed as a loveless and bitter union, both historians argue that there is insufficient evidence to support such claims. Instead, they present the possibility that the couple's relationship was more complex and nuanced than previously believed, with political and personal factors influencing their actions. Another area of recent rethinking is her involvement in the accusations against Anne and George. Historians have been questioning the extent to which Jane was responsible for their downfall, pointing out the lack of concrete evidence supporting the claims that she provided incriminating information. They argue that Jane may have been coerced or manipulated by powerful figures at court, such as Thomas Cromwell, into providing testimony that suited their purposes. So let's look first at her relationship with Anne Boleyn. Of course, in pop culture, it's been depicted as spiteful. She's been envious, a conspirator, and instrumental in the downfall of Anne. This supposed act of betrayal allegedly was fueled by her dislike for George and her jealousy over his close relationship with Anne, and that has marred Jane's reputation for centuries. One Elizabethan writer described her as a wicked wife, accuser of her own husband, even to the seeking of his own blood, who acted more to be rid of him than of true ground against him. In addition to the work by Fox and Dillard, there's also a 2022 book by Sylvia Barber Soberton that adds to the evidence supporting Jane, using archival records to argue that Anne and her sister-in-law were closer than previously believed. One of the main arguments that people who support the vindictive view of Jane use is a document from October 1535, in which a French ambassador wrote about a great troop of citizens' wives and others unknown to their husbands who presented themselves to Mary, Henry's only surviving child from his first marriage to Catherine of Aragon, weeping and crying that she was princess notwithstanding all that had been done. The ambassador continued, some of them, the chiefest, were placed in the Tower of London, constantly persisting in their opinion.